Jets undrafted rookie wide receiver Xavier Gibson scores a 65-yard game-winning punt return touchdown. However, the Jets have indeed lost future first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback Aaron Rodgers with a fully torn Achilles, which is pretty huge. Zach Wilson will be the quarterback one. However, there was a report out today saying that the Jets are looking at veteran quarterbacks to potentially be a backup or maybe could be a potential QB1 in the future. However, Robert Saleh still believes in Zach Wilson to be their future quarterback. So I want to know reaction to Rodgers' injury and talking about the game. Did the Bills lose this game or did the Jets pull out with a solid win?
I still can't believe that Aaron Rodgers is out for the season. That's hard to believe, right? He only played 4 snaps the whole year. They went out, all of the hoopla around trading for him and what you have to give up and deal and everything, and his contract restructured, and they gave up a lot for him to get him here, and the salary was in the around $50 million, right? I mean, what did he get? $75 million for 2 years, something like that. He restructured his deal even less. He restructured it to be smaller.
Right.
So so that they could stay under a cap and bring in some other players, whatever. He came off as a really team oriented guy. He was changing his image a bit by trying to fit in and also be supportive of the young receivers and the other players, and it was good. I was happy to see that, and he was highly regarded in New York. We went to a Knicks game. He was there, and people went wild when they announced him, right? So he was fired up for it and everything, and now he's done for the season. It's hard to believe. I can't believe that happened, right?
Yeah, no.
And now the Jets situation, right? They hung on to Zach Wilson. Nobody could say enough bad things about him last year, right? And he was the reason that the Jets didn't make it to the playoffs and go deep into the playoffs. They had all the other pieces except the quarterback. Well, now he's your quarterback again, right? And maybe someday he is going to be a world beater. I don't know. He has a strong arm. Sometimes he makes some decent plays. He's quick. He can scramble. I think he has talent. But his decision makings, even last night, he threw an interception, threw the ball right to the guy. So I think that was brought back memories of last year for everybody, for sure. But you got to be careful about who you go out and get for a backup quarterback, right? Because if Zach Wilson is a future quarterback, you don't want to undermine him. You don't want to hurt his psyche by bringing someone in that's looking over his shoulder, breathing down his neck, who some people might think is a better quarterback than him. Certainly Tom Brady would be in that category, right? But I don't think Tom Brady is coming out of retirement to play for the Jets this year, particularly after they honored him at Foxborough Stadium on Sunday, and he ran around the field with a number 12 on, his jersey on, and said, "I'm a Patriot for life." It'd be hard to the next week say, "Oh, now I'm playing for the Jets, and I'll be playing against you in a couple of weeks, twice a year." I don't see that happening, but stranger things have happened. I don't know. You never can say never, but I don't think that's possible. I guess of the other opportunities to bring in other quarterbacks, Chase Daniel, I don't know. I'd say his days are over. He's 36 years old. He never did much in the NFL. Joe Flacco, they had him. They saw what he could do. I think they probably don't want to go back to him. Nick Foles, that's a possibility, I think. He's not too big a name. He wouldn't overshadow Zach Wilson. Colt McCoy, he's I guess you could say he's a possibility. He's not going to take you to the playoffs, that's for sure, if Zach Wilson gets hurt. Matt Ryan, he had a horrible year last year for the Colts.
That's true.
I guess maybe he's a possibility. Does he still want to play? Probably. I don't know.
He said he's not retired. He's not retired. That, he's still hoping to play again.
Yeah. Trevor Siemian. I mean, nope. He's a game manager. He's not somebody that's going to take you to the playoffs.
There's one big name on here.
Carson Wentz is the one that I think who's had some success, who's been up and down, mostly down the last few years. Nobody even wants him right now. I would say probably he's the one to pick.
I would definitely say that out of all the free agent options, because I don't think the Jets really want to trade for a backup quarterback. And the first name that comes to mind, really, when you think about trading for, actually, there are two names that come to mind when I think about trading for a backup quarterback. One that's a huge question mark, and another one that sort of, maybe has a reputation. It definitely has proven something. The big question mark, which I don't think will get moved, but could be an interesting, piece maybe, is Trey Lance. He might get moved again. And the guy who's sort of established himself, who's currently a backup, is Jameis Winston. You could add him to the stockpile.
That makes a lot of sense.
Of a couple receivers. Garrett Wilson. I want to talk about the game. I mean, it's really unfortunate. I'll talk about the game in a second, but the string of bad luck that the Jets have had at the quarterback position, no matter who it is. It was Brett Favre, it was Vinny Testaverde, Chad Pennington was dealing with injuries, Mark Sanchez dealt with an injury. I mean, just the slew of injuries that the Jets have had at the quarterback spot. I mean, it's kind of, it's unfortunate that you could probably guess that no matter who the quarterback is, if it's a veteran quarterback, yeah, he'll probably get hurt when he plays for the Jets, because that just seems like it's a common theme when it comes to New York football. Now, is it MetLife Stadium itself with their brand new turf? A lot of players think so, that MetLife Stadium, like the conditions in the stadium are terrible, which, that's a fair point.
I don't think that's the reason Aaron Rodgers got hurt, though. I don't think the turf had anything to do with him getting hurt. It showed his foot. It was just an odd way that his foot stretched.
You could actually see
You could see his feet bend.
It was a weird situation, but there's really just bad luck when it comes to the Jets, and they can never get it's either they don't get the right quarterback, or when they get a quarterback, he doesn't really play that much.
I mean, the same thing happened to Vinny Testaverde.
Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, it was like to the day, like today on the day, I think.
Was it?
It might
it's
have
unbelievable.
Been. No, it's incredibly unfortunate what happens with Jets quarterbacks. But let's talk about the game now. So when it comes to this game, I'm going to say Zach Wilson was impressive. He wasn't too bad. Yeah. Hell, he had, I would say this is more of a Garrett Wilson play, but Zach Wilson was the quarterback and was driving, and this was probably arguably the best catch of the game and could be best catch of the year going into probably the rest of the year. Because just of how good this catch was, to reach over Tre'Davious White and grab the ball, tip it to yourself and continue to bring that to the ground. That's just an absolutely incredible catch. So that's probably going for catch of the year. But in my opinion, if we're talking about the question, did the Bills win? Or did the Bills lose or the Jets win? I'm saying the Bills completely lost this.
I agree. 100%.
Josh Allen shot his team in the foot. 4 turnovers, 3 picks.
Bad.
One of the interceptions was over the middle, and it was basically like he was the punter. It wasn't even near one of the Bills receivers. I got to give it to Jordan Whitehead, former Buccaneer. He was all over the place. He had, I think, a $250,000 incentive to get 3 interceptions this season. He got it in one game.
Got it in one game?
One game, you make $250,000.
Maybe he should get $250,000 every game. He gets 3 interceptions.
Hey, if you're playing, the next game with the Bills, maybe. No, I don't know. But, I got to say, Josh Allen, I put him as the number 4 quarterback. He's dropping a few places in my top 10 list. He was pretty bad. And this is something that I think we have to acknowledge now. We're seeing it with Daniel Jones. The effect that Brian Daboll has on refining quarterbacks cannot be overshadowed whatsoever. We saw what Daniel Jones was with horrible offensive coordinators and horrible coaching. He was a bottom 5 quarterback in the league and had turnover issues. Yeah. Now you get Brian Daboll in the league. People are throwing him in the top 10 for being as efficient as he was last season.
They may reconsider that after his game on Sunday.
We'll talk about that. He
didn't play very well either.
I think you got to give that to the Cowboys defense. However, I will say this, Josh Allen, we heard it last year after the Rams-Bills game. He was the best player in the NFL right now. And that turned out not to be the case as the year progressed. Mahomes and Burrow and actually Jalen Hurts as well were just better quarterbacks throughout the season. But I think if we look at Josh Allen, he's always sort of been turnover prone. We saw him in crucial spots in playoff games. He comes up small. In the reality, Josh Allen this season, with the same exact weapons, with the same exact offensive line, basically, with the same coaching, nothing has drastically moved besides one major piece, and that's Brian Daboll. You have a new running back, but I think James Cook actually will be better than Devin Singletary. Exactly. And another thing when we talk about the Jets, Breece Hall is back. Brees Hall from the ACL.
He was great.
He's 100% back. Dalvin
Only
Cook,
had 10 carries.
he had well over 100 yards
127 yards, I think.
It was insane to watch. He had that massive run that...
83 yards.
I think if Garrett Wilson wasn't showboating and dancing, if he actually held the block, Brees Hall probably could have ran that in for a touchdown. But I think Brees Hall is 100% back. And Dalvin Cook, he looked a little bit, Brees Hall was clearly the better running back amongst the two of them, so it makes sense why Dalvin Cook is the running back 2 at the moment. But
I think with Brees Hall, he got 10 touches and made the most of those 10. I think they were trying to hold him back a little because he's the first game after his ACL and meniscus tear. I mean, that was a pretty bad injury.
His leg got
to have him come out and play like that first game back. It's very impressive.
Absolutely. And compared to Dalvin Cook only had 2.5 yards per carry. I mean, he was basically rendered useless in this game. Brees Hall was really the main guy there.
Yeah.
And I gotta give it to the Jets defense. They pressured Allen. They made him look very, very bad.
They did.
They made him look nervous. I mean, is that the solution to the Bills? Just try to pressure Josh Allen as much as you humanly possibly can, and he'll crack underneath that pressure.
I think someone should have gone over to Josh Allen and said, "Calm down." He seemed way overhyped. He was just really hyped up, and then he started making the mistakes, and he seemed even more hyped up after that, particularly when he fumbled the ball. I mean, he should have just fallen on the ball when he instead of trying to pick it up and run with it.
He tried to make a play
and then he ran into his own player, and then Mark Sanchez came on and tweeted and said, "That's weird, huh?" A reference to the butt fumble.
Yeah,
right.
One of the worst plays in NFL
history. Right.
I'm gonna say this. It's shocking how bad Sauce Gardner looked. He was getting cooked all game. I mean, Stephon Diggs was tearing him a new one. I mean, I saw. I mean, coming from being Defensive Rookie of the Year, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, he might have been Defensive Player of the Year as well. I mean, he looked really bad against Stephon Diggs, and we're talking about a guy that was hands down, clear cut cornerback 1 in the entire league, and he absolutely got shredded in week 1. I mean, like, I don't know. This is going to be interesting to see the difference between the pass rush and the secondary, because the pass rush is still there. If we're talking about the number 4 defense in the league last year, that pass rush is still very much alive. I want to see exactly what the secondary does with DJ Reed. Jordan Whitehead was phenomenal with Jordan Whitehead. With obviously Sauce Gardner, and see what exactly they do, because this pass rush is good enough regardless of the quarterback. I think this defense will hold teams to a low enough score that as long as you have competent play, and Zach Wilson, at least since he came into the league, hasn't been fully competent. If you have somewhat competent play, I think the Jets could actually win more games than what people are thinking. I mean, the Jets had, when Aaron Rodgers was there, had a little bit over 60% chance to make the playoffs. That has decreased all the way down to below 5%. I think that number may increase just based on this defense. Strictly this defense alone. Because what this defense did to Josh Allen, I mean, Josh Allen, some people have put him in the top 3. A lot of people, pretty much everyone has him in the top 5. I mean, they made him look pedestrian, to say the least. So I got to hand to the Jets, but I think the Bills definitely lost this. I mean, if the Bills didn't have a quarterback who basically gave the ball away 4 times, I think the Bills would have taken care of this easily. You had a punt return, interception.
I think the fumble was the thing that cooked them, really, right? That gave the Jets the ball in very good field position. That's when they scored their touchdown, tied the game up. If he hadn't fumbled it, I don't think they would have lost. And because 3 interceptions didn't help either.
Yeah.
But he definitely lost the game for them. And he said it after the game. He said, "I lost the game for us."
And then
that's hard to live with for another week. He's just got to calm down. The guy is a very good athlete. He can be a great quarterback. He makes some bad decisions sometimes out there, and he gets too hyped up. I think they ought to talk to him and say, "Listen, just calm down, play within yourself. You'll be fine."
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.